Hello, good evening and welcome to my channel, and tonight I have got another KTRT review for you. Received my KTRTs last week, and I've already reviewed Tobot D because he was one of the two that I got this month, and the other one I've got is the guy I've got here to show you tonight, and it is Tobot Athlon Zango. Now, before we get into the car itself, let's have a quick look at the box. There's the box. There's a picture of him. And yeah. Now, comes with a set of decals and, user instruction sheet. You get the car and the little mind car or mind core. Now, Tobot Athlon is sort of a follow-on series to the original Tobot series, which ran out to about 18 seasons or whatever it was. But Tobot Athlon is a similar yet separate series, and they've this year they ran up to season 3, and each season they usually have like a little kid who has 3 Tobot buddies who start out as little balls that are, it is the mind of a Tobot. They put them into these little autonomous car things and they drive around, and then they sort of go into something bigger like this. I mean, see there's one that goes in this guy. So you see there. So seasons 1 and season 2 are loosely affiliated because you've got the same characters from season 1 who appear in season 2 along with a new bunch of characters. But in season 3 we've got a brand new situation, brand new characters, and 3 new bots. Now, I've already reviewed one of the season 3 characters in Metron, and I've now got hold of a second character in Xango. Now, Xango, as you can see, he's a white Kia SUV. Now, I thought this was based on a Kia Sportage, but I'm of course I was wrong. It's actually based on something called a Kia Niro. Now, we don't get those in the UK, not yet anyway. But anyway, as you can see, it's white. It's got transparent lights. It's got some grille details. It's got sunroof, a little aerial. It's got door handles, mirrors, pinned wheels that roll really well. Lots of trim down the side. And yeah, it's a very nice, very chunky, very sturdy car. Now, this is a Kia licensed product. I'm not quite sure whether it's actually a scale model of a Kia vehicle, because Young Toys, on their Tobot figures, they don't actually put the scale of the vehicle, not like Carbots did for their original seasons, where they put like 1/20th scale, 1/22nd scale. And I think the proportions are slightly out on this vehicle. It isn't quite a perfect rendition in terms of proportions to a real Kia Niro. But nevertheless, it's a nice little car, and it's quite heavy and pegs together quite well. Anyway, that's the car mode. Not a lot you can say about it. Now, the only one thing I will say about this, here's Metron from another one of his another guy from season 3, and like I said, he's got the mind car that goes in, and when you transform him into his train mode, the mind core stays inside. Now, the other Tobot Athlon figures I've got from season 1, Alpha and Beta, are exactly the same. They have a mind car inside, one of these things inside them. You can store it inside the figure when you transform it into vehicle mode, and obviously you can take it in and out when you transform it into robot mode. Now, this guy's different. You cannot store his mind car inside the vehicle mode. The space where it goes, there isn't room for it, because as you'll see in the transformation, the head sculpt gets in the way because it's hinged in. It's part of the thing. When you push it in, it pops his head up. So yeah, so you can't, a bit of a downer, you can't store the minecore in his vehicle mode. So anyway, transformation on this thing's fairly straightforward. So you start obviously underneath, and then you pull the doors out to the side, like so. Now you can transform the doors now, so bring them down, and then you fold. The front door is on a hinge, and then you slide this door forward and then move that door back, and the doors fold over one another. Let's do it on the other side. So you pull that hinge up, and then you push that forward and push that over the back, and then that's basically the arms done. Right, now we move on to the legs. So you split the legs, and then start pulling this yellow foot down, and then foot as you see. Let's get that out of the way so you can see what we're doing. So when you pull that out, there's a double link in there, and then that comes down like that, and then you fold the wheels in. So that's the legs done. Now, top half, actually no, what you do is you do that, right? Then you bring the roof back, fold that under, then you bring up these side panels, and then fold them back, bring up the shoulders, clip them into place, and then finally you open that flap, put in the mine car, and that causes Xango's head to pop up, and then you just click that down into place, and there we have Xango in his robot mode. Now he's got a big bot. Let's just get leader megs down for the usual size comparison, as you can see, and let's compare him with his wave mate Metron. Metron is quite chunky and big, so he's actually quite a bit larger. But there we go. The backpack does move around a little bit, but he's quite colourful, fairly chunky, as you know Tobots are, and has the usual sort of lack of articulation that we've come to expect from Tobots in general. This is where we kind of get a little bit disappointing. Now this guy in the show, he's like a cowboy. He's like a robotic cowboy, like a gunslinger. You can obviously see he's got like a cowboy hat, and he's got, I assume it's like a face mask or something over his visor, over his his mouth. So he's a gunslinger, and he has two guns which store in the back of his backpack. So you just unplug those. They do store. His weapons do store in robot mode. So he has these two pistols which slot in his hands. And there we go. And there he is with his guns. Now he is a, kind of like a gunslinger. Doesn't actually fire bullets, he fires like laser shots, but you can change the shots that he fires from, sort of like just a normal blast to, like an ice blast or something like that. I think he can do specialist shots and power up shots with his guns. It's been a while since I've watched the show. He's got an interesting character, but the toy is again, it's kind of a letdown because of the lack of articulation. And the point is, when you look at the picture of him on the back, I mean, he's doing that heroic gunslinger pose, yeah, like here. And then you try to get the toy to do it, and it just won't do it. It just hasn't got the joints to do it. And that's one of the criticisms I have of you know, Korean toys in general, or just toys. I mean, if they do, I know it's CGI art on the box of the characters, and what they should do, I mean, they show a picture or an image of the figure in an action or a dynamic pose, and has it ever occurred to them that the kid might want to get the toy and try to recreate said dynamic pose with the toy, and they find out they can't do it because the arms just won't move that way, or the legs won't move that way, so it's really disappointing. So let's get on with articulation. Head doesn't move, but then again, you see how it's crowded in with these panels here. It's probably the reason why it doesn't move is because it'd be hitting on, you know, colliding with all these bits around the top, so that's probably why they've done that. Ratcheted shoulders that go all the way around. They only go up that far. Elbows, not quite to 90 degrees. No bicep swivels. No waist joint. Hips. Go forwards. Go back. Go out that far. No thigh swivels. Decent knee bend. And the foot's got a little bit of a forwards and backwards motion. No ankle rockers, but it has got, you know, that angular cut on the legs so that he will stand flat-footed in a neutral A stance. So there he is. He's all right. It's kind of decent. I much prefer this guy. Mainly because he's got thigh and bicep swivels, but so that makes him a lot better in that respect. Xango is mildly disappointing. He's a good looking bot, but again, like so many other Tobots, or no, Korean bots in general, just let down by the lack of intermediate articulation. Though I will say about Tobots in general is the design philosophy behind them is fairly consistent throughout the original Tobot line and Tobot Athlons. They have a basic design ideal and, you know, build standard that is fairly consistent. They're fairly consistent in they don't have head rotations, like this guy doesn't have a head rotation either. And, you know, usually fairly consistent, you know, they don't have the intermediate joints. So that's to be expected. I wish, you know, young toys would put a little bit more effort into adding extra articulation to their toys, but that's something we take for granted with transforming toys from, you know, Hasbro and Takara. So he's good. He's all right. I'm glad I got him, but just like so many other KTRTs I've got, he doesn't quite, you know, match up, you know, come anywhere near to the sort of, you know, fun you can get out of something like this. I mean, younger kids would find this, you know, really fun to play with because, you know, it's got lots of, you know, clicky joints, and you know, they probably won't care whether, you know, it's got bicep swivels or waist joints or anything like that. They won't care about that. All they know is that they've got a big, colourful toy of a character that they've seen on a cartoon show, and that's all they care about. So, but as an adult collector, you know, I'd like to see more, but Whether we'll get it, I don't know. With KTRTs, I mean, I'm starting to think that next year I might be slowing down on buying these things, because I'm really struggling to find things to buy from the various lines. Because the line that I usually buy from, Hello Carbots, has been really going off the rails. The rubbish they've been coming out with lately, it's just of no interest to me whatsoever. Tobots, like I said, are fairly consistent, and there's still quite a few bots from Tobot lines of the past which I've overlooked, that I'm going back to now and I'm looking at again and thinking, wow, would I like to get one of these? There's other lines. I mean, there's Turning Met Card with their Junior and their HG series. They're kind of interesting. They're pretty good. And there's a few others knocking around, but I'm just not as spoilt for choice as I was before. And I think next year I might be slowing down on the KTRT buying. But who knows? I mean, tastes change over time, as they do, and I must admit, I like getting these things, but it looks like my tastes are changing, and maybe I'm gonna move away from them. I don't know. We'll have to see. But that's this review for today. I should be doing another video on Friday, because I'm Black Friday, because I'm going out on a toy hunt, and I'm hoping to do some filming on that. So we'll see how that goes. But until then, I'm TFI Wilderness, and I'll catch you all next time. Ta-da.